I'm live. Hey guys. This is the first time we've done this, so we're going to try something. Let's go to this. Also share audio. Try something.
And you are an amazing
We'll get started in
teacher.
just a minute.
You're an amazing mentor. I've been in so many different masterminds. Your coaching is, like here. Like it's, one of the best. And I would tell anyone that this is truly transformational. So your mindset, figuring out your business, figuring out your brand, figuring out the messaging, the transformation that you deliver here is one of a kind. And, the way that you teach is just so amazing. I can't even express, all the gratitude that I have for, this experience. This is an amazing community. So thank you so much. Thank you for all the experience.
Patrick and Anna have been an incredible resource and mentors for me with regards to my online business. I highly recommend working with them. They continually demonstrate a high level of knowledge, skill set, tactics, strategies, and the thing I really like is they really personalize my business. And sometimes we have to make some adjustments or pivot if something's not working. They always have something in mind to help me advance or succeed to the next level. But one of the biggest reasons I really enjoy working with them is that they're so invested in my business and so supportive of anything I go through with regards to successes or if something doesn't work out. No matter what happens, I always know they'll be in my corner, and anytime I do have success, they're such a big cheerleader for me, and they're always there to help me in any way possible. I couldn't ask for better support, and I really couldn't ask for a more knowledgeable and more resourceful set of mentors. I highly recommend working with them, and you will not be disappointed.
My passion is to build family businesses, family lifestyle businesses. 3 generations ago, my family had a thriving hotel chain, and it was across the entire Middle West. And it was dismantled in the last generation. And so I have a passion for the things that I believe we as families are designed for. So my personal goal is to help 10,000 lifestyle entrepreneurs make their first or their next $1 million using online courses. And so anything that I can do to help facilitate that.
Your passion, both you and your hubby, your passion for sincerely helping people play bigger and giving them the actual tools to do it. Like there's some people that talk about it, but you guys have repeatedly done it, and your passion to help people step into that just radiate. Love you, Anne.
I love you too. Natalia.
I just want to share my takeaway. I mean, I really like your DNA system because it feels like you are you're becoming, by creating the DNA system, you're becoming a guide or a transformer to your clients, right? In terms of where do they want to be. So they're here now, and the DNA system that you're building, you will be guiding your client to that future of where or who they want to be. And I think that, to me, that was very powerful.
Thank you. Yes.
The life she wants to live. And I asked her to give you the essence of her genius in this session. So will you please welcome Anne McDonald.
Making progress, and also learn all this awesome stuff that Anne is sharing with us, because I can see that this is the future. So I'm super excited. Just giving everybody a shout out because I'm just so inspired by all the awesome work and transformation and seeing everybody doing, and how amazing, what Anne and Patrick have done and what they've created, and how awesome that workshop was. I've been enjoying every second of it, and you can get out of this hustle and grind mode and into this amazingly beautiful future that Anne has outlined for us. So just a shout out today, guys. Keep up great work, and I'm super excited to be here and part of the team. Take care.
want to thank Ann and Patrick, first of all, for trusting me. Yeah, and what I love about you, Ann, is you are a trusting person. And look, I've been in business. Stacey and I, my wife and I, have been in business for over 30 years, and we can spell stuck in 14 different languages, but we choose to trust anyway. You ever heard of a guy named Bob Goff? He said, "Love always." And this is what these two people do. Ann and Patrick, they love always. They are the hands and feet of Jesus. And I love what you guys are showing up and what you guys have done here and brought these people together is just so impressive. So I'm just honored to be here. Thank you. Last night was so good. It was the first time in probably 30 years I didn't have to buy dinner.
There's a good one. All right, say hello.
Hello.
Hello. We're Mastering Media. Say hello.
We're gonna go ahead and get started, friends. How you doing? Come on in the room. This is my first ever broadcast this way. So let me know if you are watching on the broadcast room. I don't think you can comment. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, a like. Just say, "I'm here. I'm all good. This is working," right? Let's go. Thank you, Mason. Thank you, Caleb. Hey, is it on YouTube? Can you actually see me, Caleb? Let me know. This is, like I said, this is all new to me, and this was just on my heart. And I am excited. Is it okay with you today if I unpack something that literally changed my businesses? Would it be okay if I did that today? That's really my heart and my goal today. Awesome, awesome. Purple is your favorite color. Yay. Thank you, Caleb. I'm so glad to see you here. This is awesome. So let me just go ahead and dive in. So I have one goal today, and that is to actually unpack with you something that I do kind of behind the scenes that helps me generate at least 5 figures per month on autopilot for my online brands. Would it be helpful for you if I shared that process with you? Give me a 1, a yes in the chat. Let me know if that's a good idea. So one of the things that happened, how many of you are in online business? Just if you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and drop what area your niche is in online business, right? So I was a decorator by trade, a decorator, a designer, a kind of a fancy pants designer. That was my actual job. I don't know how many of you are in the trades, right? Maybe you're in filmmaking or media production, or you're a designer, an architect, you are a coach, right? You're in that space where you're kind of you have a trade, right? And so when I would go to projects, I would be let in the back door, not the front door. Does anybody know what I'm talking about, right? My job description did not get me in the front door of the house. It brought me in the back door because I was a tradesperson. And all of my jobs, well, you know how you work a job and you work for a client and that client takes all your time? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Well, that's kind of where I was. I was a designer and a decorator. This is way back in the day in like 2008, all the way actually back before 2000. And so the only way I got paid was to work one-on-one with clients. Who am I talking to? Let me know if this is making sense, right? So the only way I ever made money for my business, for my design and decorating business, was to actually work one-on-one with clients. And have you ever been in that place where, maybe sometimes you're maybe a little tired? Has anybody been in that place? Well, before I unpack my system, I just want to give you some hope. Is it okay? Just write hope in the chat. Is it okay if I give you some hope? All right, so here's how this went down. To date, instead of being a tired, overworked tradesperson working one-on-one with clients, to date, I have built over 14 brands. Somebody say good news. Good news, right? Those 14 brands have been both in the offline and the online space. Some of those brands are single, like 5-figure brands. Some of those brands have generated multiple 7 figures. When you add all the stuff up, it's well over 8 figures. Can somebody write good news in the chat? Good news. What was that old TV show? Good News Cruise, right? So here's what I want to share with you. I am an unlikely business builder. All right. Does anybody else feel like you're an unlikely business builder? I am nothing special in that sense. So if I can do this, you can do this. Now, you may not believe me yet, but what I'm going to unpack on this particular masterclass that we're live streaming right now is the lever that changed the game for me. Who would like to know? All right, just a couple of quick kind of housekeeping type things. Here's I'd like to find out kind of where you are and what your businesses and brands are, because I want to make sure that this is the right training for you. So if this is not the right masterclass training for you, you can go have a great day. It's all good. But this particular masterclass is for, well, let me ask you a question. Do we have any online entrepreneurs who are working too hard for every flipping sale? Am I talking to anybody? Like you're working too hard for every single sale. What about entrepreneurs who actually just want their time back, right? When I was a working designer and I was trying to get clients and I was working jobs, it was like 12 and 14-hour days and travel, and it was frustrating for me. So this is for online entrepreneurs who also, you want to actually solidify your authority in the online space. How many of you know you have a mandated message? You have a message that's burning inside of you. Maybe you got a download from God. Maybe you got a download in your spirit and you're just like, I know I have something to share, but you're trying to get it out of that space and it's a little frustrating. Let me know in the chat. Yes, right? I'm ready to get this mandated message out to the millions. Would you like to have more fun as an entrepreneur, right? Would you actually like to have the business that you're building work for you instead of you working for it? If that's you, then I want you to stay on this training, all right? What about this? Can you imagine? The Bible actually has this verse. It says that God provides for us while we sleep. Well, now, back in the old days, I would be like, I'd go to sleep and I'd be like, my business line of credit just got bigger. I'm not feeling like God is providing me while I sleep. But what I'm going to unpack with you this morning is the lever that changed the game for me. So how many of you would like to have hassle-free automated sales while you sleep? Give me an amen in the chat. And without having to have a whole bunch of people on a sales team that you actually have to manage, right? I don't want to be a manager, probably not a great manager anyway, right? What about this one? Are you ready for 5-figure months on demand? Now, I did not say $1 million months. I did not say 6-figure months. I said 5-figure months on demand. Who's ready to have a nice, healthy 5-figure revenue stream coming from online sales that you don't have to manage? Is that like, how are we doing on that? Are we doing good on that? All right. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So I want to ask a couple more questions before we dive in this, because I want to just really encourage you. Grab a notebook. We're going to unpack something that is incredibly simple, and yet this took me a while to kind of figure out. So do you feel like a one-man band? Yes or no? You're making the products, you're hosting the master classes, you're doing the challenges, you're making the courses, you're doing all the stuff. right? And you're like, how do I even have time to dream about this idea that God gave to me, right? How do I even have time to execute it, to make the phone calls I need to make, to connect with the people that I need to connect with, right? Didn't we start our online businesses to get our life back? Maybe when we wanted to pay for a family vacation, and instead we're just under all of these software subscription services type things, and we just get these bills every month. And we have little or no free time, right? Okay. Are you ready to learn? All right. So here's what I'm going to unpack with you this morning. So I discovered how to generate 5 figures per month consistently by generating what we call high caliber leads. Let me know in the chat if you know what a lead is. A high caliber lead. That's a new person who's just kind of discovered, right? It's like they've discovered your brand. Through back-end sales. Come on, somebody say sales, without needing a sales team. And can we just add some more good news crews like salt and pepper on this? So all without needing to be live or without needing a big sales team. Like how is that? Can we get, are we good? Thank you, Caleb. Awesome. All right. So is this something that is resonating with you? You know you have a big calling. You know you have a mandated message, right? God has dropped a mandated message for the millions in your heart. And yet things like they don't quite latch or take on, right? How many of you have ever had an old lawnmower, right? Now the lawnmowers are all fancy pants, but back in the old days, did you ever have a lawnmower where you had to pull it and the engine wouldn't kick over? Do you know what I'm talking about? That you'd pull the thing and it was like, ugh, right? And then the thing would flood and you have to stop and go back. Look, I was the youngest of 5 girls. Like there was lawn mowing in my life. Okay. Like it wasn't like I had a brother or my dad. Like my parents were awesome, but we did chores. Okay. So I understand. So if your online business is kind of feeling like that, you're like, I'm pulling this lever and I'm pulling this lever. I'm doing this. I'm doing masterclasses. I'm doing challenges. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing the podcast. I'm doing all this stuff and nothing is actually bringing in sales. Then you, friend, are in the right place today. All right. So I just want to give you some context for this. So just imagine this for a minute. You are in your quote unquote office, but it's really an unfinished basement, like under the house. It's cement walls. There is stuff like hanging over, like dropping down, insulation dropping down, and you're trying to run your luxury design business out of this pit of an office. Okay. Now, I had a design studio. I'll give you that. But I was trying to figure out how to make online sales for my service-based business. Somebody write online sales for service-based business in the chat. And it kind of hit ahead one day when my lovely husband, who is very good with numbers, came down and he had an American Express bill. And it was highlighted in yellow with all of my business expenses. All of my business expenses. And it was kind of like, what is this? And where's the money? Show me the money. Your business here isn't looking like much of a business. Does anybody know what I'm talking about, right? You're digging, you're preparing, you're learning, you're doing all these things, and there's no money coming in. Well, that was me at the time. Now, instead of being like, oh, absolutely, I take 100% personal responsibility, I'm all in. I literally, now, context here, my dad, I'm the youngest of 5 girls. Okay, let's get a hold of that context for a minute. My dad was drafted into the minors in baseball. He was a great athlete, St. Louis Cardinals. And so I knew how to throw. Can somebody say, girl throws like a guy? Okay, so I knew how to throw, and I had a thing of keys on my desk. And I picked up the keys. I was so mad. Have you ever been mad about like where your business is going? I was so mad at him. And I'm like, I'm trying, I'm doing the best I can. I picked up the keys. I positioned, right? You gotta get your core really into it. So I got my core into it. I hurled the keys at my husband. And you know what he did? Do you know what he did? He caught them. I was like, The wind went out of my sails. I was like, fine. And in that moment, just snap your fingers with me, friend. Have you ever had a moment where you could go this way or you could go that way? Well, in that moment, the grace of God showed up. So I just want to release some grace right now. Imagine a scene in your life where the grace of God actually kept you like in grace. And I burst out in laughter. And I was like, you're right. And in that moment, I made a decision to actually finish what I'm going to unpack with you today. And what I'm going to unpack with you today changed the game. Not only for my interior design brand, but for my holiday brand, my meditation brand, my real estate brand, my coaching, consulting, and mentoring brands. It changed the game. So somebody write in the chat, game changer. My pain in this place was I had business and brand bills. I had business lines of credit. I had all of these software tools that I had been paying for, and nothing was quite finished. You guys, have you ever been in that place where nothing's quite finished? You don't actually have something that somebody can buy right now? Well, the payoff of this one lever was that I started to make a consistent 5 figures per month. Now, like I said, is it $1 million a month? No. 5 figures, however, covered my business costs, paid off some business debt, and got me to a place where I was actually able to serve my clients at a high level. So if you're all in and you want to know what we're going to unpack today, just go ahead and write all in, right? All in, right? Hopefully by now you're starting to see what it is, like the situation that a lot of us as online entrepreneurs are in. And friend, can I tell you something? There are customers, there are clients, there are consultant VIP days that we do. We actually have consulting clients that pay us upwards of $40,000 per day. The top consulting client has paid us $270,000. So what I'm going to unpack for you, I don't want you to dismiss. I actually want you to hold on to this, because this is the same question, the question of consistent sales that come in on autopilot, consistent lead generation, and more. All right, you guys, is this good? Are you having fun? Hopefully you're having fun. Here's the thing. The reason I'm doing this today is that I remember what it was like, and I almost quit. You know, my mentor way back in the day, his name was Ryan, and he was the one that helped me discover this, helped me unpack this. And if it hadn't been for my mentor, Ryan, I likely would have quit, right? I'm still actually paying Ryan over 16 years later. I pay him every month because he's been that good of a mentor to me. All right, so let me ask you a question. What is the lever, right? What is the lever, Ann? What is the lever? So I discovered something called, and this is my proprietary method because I actually had to take from different mentors and different pieces and different trainings that I was learning. I call it the webinar sales engine. Now, write the word engine in the chat for a minute. Write the word engine in the chat. How many of you know how an engine actually works? Like a jet engine, a car engine, like an engine. What does an engine do, right? An engine has all of these moving parts, but in theory, the simplicity of an engine is that it powers something forward. It gets you, it takes your vehicle, it takes the vehicle of your online business, and it actually powers you towards your goals. So why webinar sales engine, Ann? What's this lever? And we're actually going to unpack the actual steps inside of this. So stay on the training with me. All right. Stay on, focus in for a minute. Here's the kicker. Your customers start selling themselves on their own time, in their own homes, on their own phones. So say that with me. My customers, holy cow, Ann, my customers, my future clients are actually selling themselves on their own time, wait a minute, on their own time, write this in the chat, on their own phone, in their own home, maybe in their own car. You're literally providing this solution for them the way that we do it, in the context where their hearts and their souls start to beat. Have you ever listened to something and all of a sudden your heart starts to beat a little bit and you're like, I have to be a part of this. I have to have that, right? Give me a yes if you know what I'm talking about. Here's the other thing it does. It helps you collect hundreds, if not thousands of emails every month. Okay, imagine this for a minute, friend. Your online business is generating hundreds of new emails every month. New emails, not your sister's second email, right? Who knows what I'm talking about, right? Not your wife's third email, not your friend's fake emails. They're like, I'll sign up for your stuff just because. No, friend. Webinar Sales Engine is this, and I'm going to unpack it with you. So hold on. I'm going to unpack the exact steps that we take. But it's that process where you get hundreds of new emails per month and generating a solid 5 figures. A solid 5 figures every month. Now, can you imagine? So how many of you have software that you pay for in your online business? Maybe you pay for, like I pay for a lot of software. I got a ton of software. I've got executive level or whatever they call the highest level of all sorts of different softwares. I got funnel softwares. I got multiple funnel softwares. I got email, I got a lot of softwares. And the tool that I'm going to unpack for you today, Webinar Sales Engine, is the tool that literally covers the costs. And while it covers all those costs, it brings in new sales. Get a hold of that for a minute. Think about that for a minute. It covers the costs and it brings in new sales, brings in new leads, brings in new sales. Now, here's the really cool thing. When I first got started, I was like, I'm a designer. I'm a decorator. How is this going to work for me? I have to work one-on-one, face-to-face with clients. Where are my service-based entrepreneurs? Where are my people who are working with one-on-one clients, right? Let me know, right? Like say I am, like write that in the chat. And in that place, I didn't understand that it could actually work for me. And so instead of taking 90 days, which is how long it takes us to go from start to finish on this, it took me 2 years. So would it be okay with you if I unpacked for you how to not have it take 2 years? would it be okay with you? All right. So I want you to picture this for a minute, right? I'm a decorator. I'm a designer, right? My struggle was I needed more cash flow. Okay. I needed that place where I wasn't working 24/7 with one-on-one clients. Where are my agency owners, right? You're working 24/7 with these one-on-one clients. You thought the agency model was going to be the gig for you. And you're like, flip, this is a lot of work. Okay. I started this business so I could take a family vacation or maybe pay for a wedding or pay for college. And now all of a sudden you're like, my clients are pulling on me 24/7. I need a way out. So that's where I was as a designer. And so Ryan is like, Ann, you gotta do this. And I'm like, this is not going to work. So where was I? I was stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck. Okay. How many of you have heard that phrase before? So I want to introduce you to somebody. This is Ann before, and I've written her Miss Princess Prudence Perfectionist. Okay. Where are my former or recovering perfectionists? So in my head, I was like this Miss Princess Prudence Perfectionist. I was this person. I was so concerned about how my brand looked online. I was so concerned. I didn't even have pictures up of me unless they were professional quality and like everything was perfect. And I kept stumbling over the fact that I thought everything had to be perfect before I released it. So instead of taking 90 days, I wasted 2 years to, quote, perfect my online presentations, to make sales an evergreen presentation. But when I finally stepped over the line and I did my webinar sales engine, do you know how much I made in like less than 90 minutes? I made just under $5,000. I was like, I'm rich. So I was in this place where I was trying to get everything ready and I wasted 2 years, and all I had to do was to finally execute on what I knew what was right to do. How many of you have ever been in that place where you're thinking like, Ann, I don't like, it doesn't feel right. I'm uncomfortable, right? Well, do you know in the Bible even, it talks about how, have you ever started to try to do something and then all hell breaks loose, right? You've got a download from God. You've got a great idea. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, the dog gets sick. The car breaks down, the whatever happens, right? In that moment, you and I have a decision to make. If we understand the principle that in the beginning, light be, and then darkness, right? In the beginning, God's like, light be, and then darkness covered the surface of the deep. In the same way, we actually have to look at that as our mandated assignment. Darkness, I see you, back off, right? I know the dog got sick. Let's go to the vet, get that taken care of, but we're going to brush it off and we're going to keep moving forward. Right? Let me know one in the chat if that sounds encouraging, right? You know what I'm talking about. So there are 3 distinct phases to Webinar Sales Engine. Would you like to know them? All right, let me know. Get ready to, if you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and get ready to just make some comments in the chat. So have you ever been in that place where you don't know what to do? You're like, Ann, I actually don't know what to create in order to generate these 5-figure sales on autopilot. Like I actually don't know what to do. So let me just give you a quick frame. Just somebody write frame if you're on YouTube with us. Frame. The frame here is very simple. We are creating an evergreen, somebody write evergreen. It's always green. It's always printing money. We're going to create an evergreen training for your brand. And on that evergreen training, we are going to sell a product at the back end. Wait for a minute. That is also evergreen. Can we just like, I mean, just imagine for a moment. Well, actually, let's go back to where I was when this first started. And imagine yourself. Or let me know if you've ever been in this place. So here I am in my design business. I'm like all over the map. And Ryan's like, put your blinders on, Ann. Put your blinders on. I'm like, okay. This is like 2010, 2011. I'm like, okay. He's like, you need an evergreen, something that people can learn about you from. Somebody write niche authority in the chat. That people can actually engage and make a decision if you're someone they want to follow and engage with, right? Put authority, more authority, and then that they can buy without you being present. And I'm like, have you ever had an aha that like, you're like, why didn't I think of that? In that place where like, okay, it's so simple. And yet, why did I not think about that? So the frame that we're going to build for Webinar Sales Engine it's an evergreen webinar that is designed to get you 5 figures per month. It's designed to increase your niche authority, tell your story, and sell your signature product on the back end. Come on. All without you needing to be present, without you needing to do a live masterclass, a live challenge, a live event, whatever, right? You can literally be sipping suds, hanging out on the beach, hanging out with your kids while your webinar sales engine is working for you. Now, is this a completely passive thing? Absolutely not. Does it take work and focus? Absolutely. All greatness does, right? But what I want to give to you is this mechanism that changed the game for me. Can you imagine how my breathing changed when I made $5,000? I was like, wait a minute. I can actually pay that bill. Wait a minute. I can actually not have to, borrow from this business line of credit to put it on this business line of credit to cover this until my big contract comes in. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Where are my designers and decorators out there, right? Because we got paid in big chunks at a time, but it was like sometimes 6 months between those big chunks. So what's the first part? What are the 3 steps? Well, the first thing is when I was struggling with how to know what to do and what the frame was, I didn't actually know where I was going. I didn't know what the destination is. So write the word destination. Phase 1 is destination, right? Phase 1 is destination. Can you imagine trying to plan a trip where you don't know where you're going and you don't know what season it is where you're going and you don't know when you're going? Like, I don't know, we're just going on a trip, right? So in phase number 1, what we do is we determine your destination. We determine I had real financial goals. I was like, I just want to make an extra, where are my newbie entrepreneurs? Where are my absolute newbie entrepreneurs? You're like, I just want like an extra 10 grand. Like that would change the game for me. Well, if that's the case, listen in. And if we're my experienced entrepreneurs, you're like, Ann, I don't need 10 grand. I need 10 million, right? I hear you, friend. So you don't need 10 grand, you need 10 million. Well, the destination phase is one of the most important phases because as long as we know where we're going, then we can design your webinar sales engine to get you there, right? We can design it to get you there. And it's like, awesome, I know where I'm going. I want to get this many registrants per month. I want to get this much revenue coming in per month. I want to sell this signature product at this signature price, right? And we've got it. And it's all designed to build your niche authority. Wait, remember that your ideal client is selling themselves on their own time, in their own home, on their own phone, right? Somebody write Good News Cruise in the chat. This is can I just share with you, friend? This changed the game for me. So I finally decided the destination. I'm like, awesome. All right, Ryan, I want 10 grand for the whole year. And he just burst out laughing. He's like, think we got it, Ann. Think we got it. I'm like, okay, so I get the destination. I'm like, I got a number. I'm like, I'm going to sell a $495 product on the back of it. Now our VIP days are 40 grand, right? So $495 and now it's $40,000, right? Our masterminds are $25,000 and up, right? Think about that for a minute. So wherever you are on the continuum, stay with me, all right? Remember, if I can do this, you can do this. I'm not any different than you are, okay? And I've spent the decades in the trenches so that I can give this to you, all right? All right, so I got the destination. I'm like, yay! And then I sit down to do the work and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, where's the stuff? I don't have any pictures. Where's this? Now remember, friend, this is 2010, 2011. Okay, think about that. There was no webinar software. There was no ClickFunnels. None of that, right? None. We were on like janky teleseminar calls. We were like, things like wires. It was bad, right? There was no like photo storage. You couldn't just copy and paste. There was none of that. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, I need this and I need this and I need this and I don't have any of this. And where am I going to get this? That's when I discovered phase 2. Somebody write good news, phase 2. So this is going to be a fun one. All right. Look, is it okay if we just have fun with this? Because the truth is, when you get your webinar sales engine up and running, it does become super fun. You're like, those little dings on your phone from Stripe? Those. So phase 2, shop from your own closet. All right, now we're going to go shopping. Now, what do I mean by this? Just write shop from your own closet. One of the biggest fails when people try to create evergreen products is they don't actually know what needs to be in them, right? They don't actually know what needs to be in the products. They don't have any testimonials. They don't have any case studies. Now, if you don't have testimonials or case studies, that's okay. There's a way to generate them, which is super cool. But there are little things like as seen in, and if you stay on this training live and you're a registered attendee, you're actually going to get access to our business success kit, which is valued at $888 just simply for staying on it. And it's got a whole bunch of stuff in there, training and videos and downloads and things for you, just because I want to help you get over some of these humps. Is that good news? That's good. Awesome. Awesome. So shop from your own closet. You're gathering all the necessary ingredients and leaving out everything that doesn't move the needle, right? Leaving out everything that is of no consequence, right? Have you ever baked a cake with too much sugar or not enough? That. So we have a whole shopping list, a whole thing where these are the things that you actually need to shop from your own closet. And we're like, oh, here's the checklist, right? So when I was working back in the day, we didn't have the checklist. I was just like, blah, blah, blah. So I'm a designer, right? I'm a designer by trade. I'm like, I like checklists. So I'm like, we're going to get this and we're going to get this and we're going to get this and this and this and this. And I made a checklist. Pretty cool, right? Who wants my checklist? All right. So I got my checklist, I got my stuff, and now it's time to like practice doing this thing, practice doing this webinar sales engine live type thing, not live, but live in front of a camera. And guess who shows up? Miss Princess Prudence, perfectionist. I mean, friend, I was so. Have you ever been ashamed of where you are in business? Have you ever been ashamed of where you are? So you're like, you're just kind of hiding and you just can't bear to put the materials out because you're ashamed of them or embarrassed of them. That's where I was. Can I tell you something on the other side? I wish that I had pictures, videos, and all the things that I deleted from that season because I was so embarrassed of how I was trying to do this, how it was looking, how I was feeling that the only picture I have is one of my empty, cleaned basement, right? And it was in this place of like practicing and trying to figure it out on my own. And I got in my own head. Has anybody ever been in their own head? And I'm like, this stinks. This is no good. And here's the truth, friend. That's not the truth, right? So that's when I discovered the third phase. And the third phase is what we call the practice to finish. The practice to finish. And we actually have, for our top end mastermind members, we actually have a private streaming Facebook group that they get to practice to finish in. Pretty cool, right? It's like nobody's pitching or sharing links. They're just practicing. They're connecting, they're practicing, they're talking to the camera, they're back and forth. And you know what's really cool? I even practice in that group for my other brands. I literally practice webinars in that group. It's so cool. Webinar Sales Engine changed the game for me. All right. So over the course of the past, since 2011, it took me 2 years to get my webinar sales engine created, the whole system developed, and then to get my webinar to the market. And on the back end, I sold my signature course. Would you like to know what my signature course was called? Would you like to know? It was called Decorate Like a Pro System. Decorate Like a Pro System. I sold it on a webinar. It was an 8-module pre-recorded course. I sold it for $495 with a $995 upsell. The very first time I released that webinar, I made just under $5,000. I was like falling out, right? Ever been to church and you fall out? Like I was like, this is it. This is it. So let me ask you a question. Are your wheels starting to turn? Would you like to ditch the constant, I got to schedule a live masterclass, I got to schedule a live challenge, I got to get people in the room, I got to do this, it's like enough already, right? Now, I do live challenges every month. I do live masterclasses. You're on one right now. I do live events. We had an event in Dallas. We do events. We do mastermind events, typically 4 to 6 times a year. I do all that, but I didn't do all that at the front end. What I did do at the front end was I developed a lead and cash generating machine that helped me hone my messaging. Somebody say, practice my messaging. Practice my messaging, right? I honed my signature course. Do you know that each one of you has a signature way of doing things? So I honed my signature course. And while I was doing that, I was also learning to do these live events, right? But it's that place of, I just needed like consistent new lead flow, consistent new cash in the door, all of that. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to help you gain 5 figures per month in the next 90 days. I'd like to help you increase your niche authority. Who could use a boost? Do you ever see people in the online space and they're kind of on the same topic as you, but you know they don't carry the same message. They don't carry the same mandated message. And you're like, how are they succeeding and I'm not? What am I missing, right? So I'd like to help you increase your niche authority and get you back into that owner-founder space. Like, do you know that right now I'm running this masterclass from one of our Airbnbs? We have an Airbnb in Lake Tahoe. She goes back, we call her Miss A, and she goes back on the market. She's a great big commercial steel-framed A-frame that we bought after my parents passed like 20 years ago. How many of you would like to have like businesses that kind of run on autopilot so that you can step back into that owner space and stop being an employee in your own business? Can I get an amen? Right? Can you imagine if God was out there pulling a lever every day to get the sun to go up? And yet, how many of us in our businesses every day we log on and we're trying to figure out like, okay, we got to do this email and this email and this and this and this and this and this. We're pulling levers all day. Well, what I want to give to you in Webinar Sales Engine is this simple process. You're going to decide your destination. What do you actually want or desire or need? And I strongly encourage you to pick something that feels congruent with your belief level, right? My mentor, Ryan, at the time, he'd done multiple tens of millions of dollars. And here I was saying, I just want $10,000. And he was like, okay, right? It was like, I mean, it was a sweet laughter, right? It wasn't a mocking laughter. It was like, Ann, if that's what you're capable of believing for, then I'm all in, right? And so that's what I think I paid him more than I was asking to make, but I knew if I could, and I did pay him more than that. But if and this was back in 2008, 10, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Come on, there's a piece for you. But I knew that if I could get a hold of this mechanism, of this engine, then I could just run it every single month. Okay, is this making sense? Hopefully by now you're starting to see it. You're starting to get the vision for this webinar sales engine process working for you. So what's the first phase? First, we make a decision about what you want. What is congruent with your level of belief? Do you want income? Do you want niche authority? Do you want back-end sales? I wanted all 3, right? But the most important one to me was, I was like, I just want to get to 10 grand, right? That happened pretty quickly, right? The second phase. What's the second phase, friends? The second phase is you actually have to shop from your own closet, right? Somebody just tap yourself and say, from my own closet. We have a phrase for this. We call it the truth tank. You are way more impressive than you remember. right? Just say, I'm way more impressive than I'm remembering right now. You have way more under the hood than the world sees right now, right? You have way more going for you. You've done way more than you're remembering. And so what we do in this process is we get out that checklist and we're like, we need this and this and this and this and this. And the good thing is it's not from other people. It's all from you, right? So we're going to release all of that shame from the whole process. And then the third phase is we're going to practice to finish. We're just going to get the thing done, right? W. Clement Stone put it this way: do it now. Do it now, do it now, do it now, right? Now, how many of us are like, yeah, but, right? I know, I get it. I was a perfectionist. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. It doesn't make sense to me. Ryan, I'm scared. My software isn't working. Like none of this is working. Like, I mean, back in the day, friends, we did not have a software program. We had to like code things and connect things, and Zapier wasn't it? Like you guys know what I'm talking about? So one of my first webinars, I was literally downstairs in the basement, and my husband, who was helping me run it, had to be 2 stories higher in a dining room where he couldn't hear me in any way, and there was no reverb. Like it was complicated, and we had to have cables running from the basement all the way up. So don't we wish that I'd taken pictures and not been ashamed of where I was? Don't we wish that I'd taken more pictures? So I don't know who that's for, but if you are in any way, shape, or form ashamed of where you are in business, break that off right now. Snap. I want you to just let it go. Let it go. All right. I understand how it feels, but I'm asking you to just let it go. Put on that song, right? From Frozen. Let it go. Let it go. All right. So here's the other. How many of you are hanging with me right now? You're like, Ann, I'm all in. I'm listening. So one of the questions I get a lot of times is, Ann, does this work for like a high price product and a low price product? I'm like, honey, this works for a free product without even email capture, all the way up to the most I've ever personally sold is over $10,000 from an evergreen webinar. All right. So low, medium, high. That's why we got to know your destination. What is your destination? So this works for any product. If I can do it in the design and interior decorating space where everything is delivered virtually and pre-recorded, hun, it's possible. All right. So just say it's possible. It's possible. So let me ask you a question. Has this been kind of fun? Are you like, welcome to the cabin, right? You want an Airbnb? Let me know, right? But welcome to the cabin. Welcome to a live masterclass where I just felt like this is something that I've actually been doing for my online brands and some of my offline brands as well for Niche Authority, is I've been doing this for over a decade. And in our mastermind group, which is $25,000 and up, one of the things that I've noticed is even at the top levels, and even with our consulting clients, there's a fear gate sometimes that it betrays our unbelief in what we carry. And the beautiful thing about Webinar Sales Engine is it gives us a safe space to kind of unpack that, right? It gives us a safe space where we can sit down. We set aside 90 days. I like to work in quarters, right? So that 90 days from now, you can sit down in this over the course of time and you can make a decision about where you want to be, right? You can take a look at what it is that you carry and what needs to be in your webinar sales engine. And then you have a safe place to practice. So that's why I set it up for our high-level mastermind group. Like literally people go in there, they go live and they're just like, I'm practicing, right? Well, let me ask you a question. Would it be okay with you if I shared a new opportunity to come in to Webinar Sales Engine without needing to be a member of our top level masterminds? Let me know in the chat. Would it be okay with you if I shared with you a new opportunity to do webinars the new way, the right way, the way that works for you. Not like with all the hustle and bustle and the pointing and flashing arrows and all that kind of stuff. That was one of the things that I had to overcome, friend, because back in the day, in 2008, 2011, like webinars and that kind of thing, I'm telling you, it was like bright yellow flashing arrows and all that kind of stuff. And do I look like a bright yellow? Well, I love bright yellow, but do I look like kind of a flashing arrow type gal? No. So I had to adapt myself and adapt. And that's why I took all these pieces together to basically create Webinar Sales Engine. So would you like to know about Webinar Sales Engine? Let me know, one in the chat, right? What are the 3 phases, right? The 3 phases are, you're going to make a decision, you're going to shop your own closet, you're going to tell the truth, and you're going to practice to finish, all right? Awesome. All right. So what is this new opportunity, Ann? So on June 3rd, we are recording live the official course for Webinar Sales Engine. Would you like to learn how to generate 5 figures on demand with your Webinar Sales Engine? Increase your niche authority without needing to be present and live all the time, and get sales while you sleep? If that sounds like a good idea, then I'd like to introduce to you our pre-launch, our VIP all access lifetime updates to the pre-launch of Webinar Sales Engine, the actual course. So what we want to do is we want to invite you into this process with us. For 4 weeks live, I'm going to be filming the actual materials. You know, those checklists, you know, those decision decoders, all of that kind of stuff. I'm actually going to be filming it live. And I'd like to invite you in on to see kind of the back end of this process. I'd like to invite you into that process with me. All right. So what does it look like, Ann? Well, very simply, do you wish that you could have a totally safe space in order to practice these new skill sets? Would that be okay with you? Would it be okay if we provided a really high-level safe space for you, right, to practice your webinars? Not to be inundated with pitches and links and all that kind of stuff, but to actually just practice your messaging. Well, I'd like to invite you, when you join Webinar Sales Engine, I'd like to invite you into our Words to Wealth private webinar streaming test Facebook group. Literally, banner is Words to Wealth, right? That's where our top level mastermind members are practicing. And I want to invite you into that as well. That's the first piece. Does that sound like good news? Like, whew. Can we just take a, like, roll your shoulders back, right? Release your wrists, like, take a deep breath. Pretty cool, right? So I don't even know what the value is of that. I mean, it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars, because hundreds of thousands of dollars has been generated just from that practice room, right? So we'd like to invite you into that. The next thing is you're going to get access to the actual customer center, the learning portal. The like the raw materials learning portal, where you get access to the recordings of the course and the raw uncut recordings of the materials. So we're going to walk you through all 3 phases plus another bonus 3 phases where we help take people over the top to get like across their first finish line. Like my real goal, can I just share with you my real goal? My real goal is to get you to at least a 6-figure mark with your webinars. That's my real goal. So the first 3 phases are designed to get you up and running, right? Get your first 5 figures. The second 3 phases, they're designed to get you over your 6-figure mark. So we're going to give you access to all 6 phases, and we're going to record these live over the course of 4 weeks. So you get all the learning portal, you get access so that you can tap in and tap out, dip in, dip out on your own time, all right? The next thing you're going to get, we actually put together a complete success path with badges, Like, the badges that you would get, like Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, or you get badges. So we want to celebrate every single milestone. Phase 1, let's get it done. Let's go ahead and celebrate, right? When was the last time somebody actually said, hey, I see how hard you're working and well done, right? Didn't happen like that for me and my family because none of my family were entrepreneurs at the time, right? So they're like, what are you doing? Instead of, hey, I saw how you overcame that obstacle. Congratulations and well done, right? I saw how you were able to pay that business loan off or pay that whatever, right? Because you continued to do that. So that's a high priority for me, is the celebration piece, right? There's a saying that goes like this: what gets celebrated gets replicated. And in the same way, we want to celebrate you for every single phase. We've got a concrete success kit that when you buy it right now, I'll actually show this to you in just a minute. Does that sound good? All right. And then here's I was thinking about this. I was like, what could I put in this that would take this completely over the top? Like what could I put in this that would take this completely, and I mean completely, over the top? And I'm just pulling up my page right now because this whole thing about doing this on your own time, what do you do when you have questions, right? Well, I want to share with you, Patrick and I have high-level mastermind groups. We have high-level consulting clients that pay us the mastermind groups are $25,000 and up. The consulting clients start at $40,000 per day, right? Now, remember, when I started, it was like, I just wanted $10,000 to add to my bottom line. That's all I was looking for. I just wanted to be able to pay off my business line of credit. That was the big deal, right? So when I was thinking about this, I was like, what if? Because I think this is one of the most powerful tools I have when I build brands from the ground up. Like literally, this is the lever. This is the lever. I do all the big stuff, the live stuff at the end, but when I'm starting, this is my core lever. And I thought, what if we invited the people who came into Webinar Sales Engine during the pre-launch to join us for our concierge coaching calls? What if I could give you access for 2 months to our concierge coaching calls? Would that be okay with you? Now, concierge coaching calls are high-level entrepreneurs. You'll learn stuff in those coaching calls, even if you never ask a question. So I thought, well, why don't we just throw in 2 months free of concierge coaching? Would that be cool? So it's kind of like you're in the mastermind without having to pay the $25K. Does that sound pretty cool, right? All right. So would you like to know, basically what I'm doing is I'm opening up what I call unprecedented VIP pre-launch access. We're going to be filming this course live, and I would like to invite you into this process. You're going to get access to the coaching for 2 months, and you're going to get access to the Facebook group for 2 months. You're going to be able to practice in that group. Actually, no, the Facebook group, I think, well, I don't know how long that, I haven't seen, this is all new. Let's see how long you get access to the Facebook group. Maybe you'll just get access. Why don't we give you access to the Facebook group? Just access. Would that be okay with you? If I just took the constraints off of that? If that practice Facebook group that is literally generated hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars because people are in there practicing, would it be okay with you if I just took all the constraints off that? And if you join Webinar Sales Engine, during this pre-launch, you actually get access to that in perpetuity, forever. Okay, cool. There you go. All right. So how do you sign up, and what's the gig? So let me go ahead and share my screen with you. Not that. Let me go to this, and I'm going to share my screen. Let's go to special offer Webinar Sales Engine.